When Daniel removed his VR headset, the calendar showed a date 2 years later. But the girl from the virtual world was still waiting for him. At first, he thought the device had simply frozen. The room looked strange. A thick layer of dust covered the table. A cup with dried coffee still stood where he had left it yesterday. The curtains were closed, and the air in the room felt heavy, as if the window had not been opened for a very long time. Daniel slowly picked up his phone. The screen lit up, and his heart skipped a beat. The date was 2 years later. 2 years. But for him, only a few hours had passed. He stood in the middle of the room without moving. The most frightening part was not even the lost time. The most frightening part was that in the virtual world, a girl had been waiting for him every day. And now he didn't understand which life was real, and which one he could no longer live without. Before all this, Daniel's life had been ordinary. Work, a small apartment, quiet evenings. He wasn't unhappy, but he couldn't call himself happy either. There had always been a strange emptiness inside him, as if life was happening nearby, but not to him. Morning subway rides, a computer screen all day, silence in the evening. Sometimes he scrolled through his phone, sometimes he watched movies. Sometimes he just lay on the couch staring at the ceiling. Every day felt the same, as if life had been put on repeat. Then one evening he saw an advertisement. VR, virtual reality, a technology that allowed people to put on a special headset and enter another world. When you wear the headset, you stop seeing your real room. Instead, a different world appears, created by a computer. Cities, people, oceans, mountains, everything looks almost real. And if another person puts on the same headset, you can meet them there, as if you're standing right next to each other, in one place. In a world that technically doesn't exist. Daniel watched the advertisement for a long time. Then he ordered the headset. He didn't fully know why. Maybe boredom, maybe loneliness. Or maybe he just wanted to feel something new. When the package arrived, it was evening. He opened it, carefully took out the headset, and put it on. In 1 second, his apartment disappeared. A city appeared around him. Huge, bright, unbelievably beautiful. Skyscrapers stretched toward the sky. Neon lights reflected in glass buildings. Music drifted through the streets. People walked across the square. Some laughed. Some talked. Some sat by a fountain. Daniel turned his head. The world moved with him. He took a step and felt as if he were truly walking down the street. This was virtual reality, but it felt almost real. He slowly walked across the square, amazed, and that was when he saw her. She was sitting by the fountain. Dark hair, a calm smile. She was watching the water, as if thinking about something important. Then she looked up and saw him. "First time here?" she asked. Daniel looked a little confused. "Is it that obvious?" She laughed softly. "Yes, you're looking at everything like someone who just landed on another planet." Her name was Emily. She was also a real person from the real world, but right now she was here, through a VR headset. They started talking. At first, just a little. Then longer. She showed him the city. Hidden streets, gardens on rooftops, places where few users went. Daniel suddenly realized he was smiling. And it was a real smile. He hadn't felt that in a long time. The next evening, he put the headset on again. He walked straight to the fountain. Emily was already there. She smiled. "I knew you would come." That's how it began. Every evening, they met, walked together, talked. Sometimes they sat on the roof of a skyscraper and watched the lights of the city. Sometimes they simply sat in silence beside each other. Daniel began to look forward to these meetings all day. In the real world, everything felt grey. But here, there was Emily. Over time, their conversations became deeper. They told each other about childhood, about fears, about things they had never told anyone else. One evening, Emily said quietly, "Sometimes I feel like this world is more real than the real one." Daniel answered softly, "Maybe. Because here we can actually be ourselves." She looked at him for a long moment and smiled. One night they were sitting on a rooftop. The huge city glowed beneath them. Emily suddenly asked, "Daniel, do you remember the day you first came here?" He smiled. Of course. A few days ago. She stayed silent for a long time, then said quietly, Daniel, you've been here for 2 years. He laughed. That's impossible. But she didn't smile. I'm serious. Daniel suddenly tore off the VR headset. His heart was pounding wildly. The room was covered in dust. Letters lay on the table. His phone showed a date 2 years later. While he had been living in the virtual world, 2 real years had passed. His job was gone. His friends had stopped writing. The world had simply continued without him. Daniel sat in silence for a long time, then slowly picked up the headset again and put it back on. He ran to the fountain. Emily was standing there. She looked at him calmly. Now you understand. In this world, time moves differently. Daniel asked quietly. Did you lose years too? She nodded. Yes. One day I removed the headset and realized my real life had already disappeared. She looked into his eyes. So I came back because here, there is you. After that, everything changed. They knew the truth. But they kept meeting. They explored new virtual worlds, flew above cities, walked through forests made of light, sat by transparent lakes, and one day Daniel realized he had fallen in love. For real. Emily felt the same. One evening, Emily said, I want to show you a place. The world around them changed. The city disappeared. An ocean appeared before them. Endless water. Moonlight shimmering across the waves. Warm sand stretching along the shore. Daniel and Emily walked slowly along the beach. The wind was gentle. Waves whispered softly at their feet. For a while they didn't speak. Sometimes silence between two people says more than words. This was that kind of silence. Have you ever thought we might have met in real life? She asked quietly. Daniel thought for a moment. Maybe. But we probably would have just walked past each other on the street. She smiled. But here, we found each other. He looked at her. In that moment, she felt more real than the entire real world. Daniel gently took her hand. Her fingers felt warm. Even if it was an illusion, his heart believed it was real. They walked into the water, first to their knees, then deeper. Waves brushed softly against their shoulders. They swam together, laughing and splashing like children. Emily swam closer. Very close. You know, she said softly, sometimes I think we've found what people spend their whole lives searching for. What? Daniel asked. She looked directly into his eyes. Each other. At that moment, Daniel realized something. He truly loved her. He wanted to say it. The water flickered for a second. The sky darkened. Emily noticed too. Daniel, did you see that? He nodded, and suddenly a terrifying thought struck him. If this world disappeared, he could lose her. Forever. Daniel held her hand tighter. If something happens, find me again. Emily smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. Sometimes people get lost between worlds. At that moment, the ocean trembled, at first barely, then stronger. The waves began to rise. The sky flickered violently, and a warning appeared above the ocean. Server error. Emily tightened her grip on his hand. Daniel, don't let go. But the ocean was already turning violent, and the tide was coming. The waves rose higher, first to their waists, then to their chests, then to their shoulders. The current grew stronger. They held each other as tightly as they could. But the ocean became stronger. Their fingers began to slip. Daniel, Emily. They looked into each other's eyes, and in that moment they both understood something. This world could disappear, just like them. A massive wave rose above them and crashed down. Their hands separated. When Daniel opened his eyes, the beach was empty. The ocean was calm again. The sky was clear. Emily was gone. He searched for her, in every world, in every place they had ever visited. But she never appeared again. Some people said that during system failures, accounts sometimes disappear. Others said people remove the headset and never return. Daniel never learned the truth. But he understood one thing: sometimes people fall into traps, and sometimes they choose to stay. But love, even inside a world created by a computer, can break your heart just as deeply as the real one.